Once upon a time, beyond the great green hills and thick forest of the southern lands, there lay a hidden valley called Luhuri. Many travelers had heard strange tales about this place. Some said it was cursed. Others claimed it was a land of wild people with no shame. But few had ever seen it with their own eyes. The valley could not be found on any map. Even the wind seemed to avoid speaking its name too loudly. It was said that Luhuri was a village where no one wore clothes, and no one belonged to just one lover. It sounded like madness to those who lived by tradition. But to a young traveler named Komi, it sounded like a story worth telling. Komi was a storyteller. He walked from village to village, collecting old wisdom and sharing tales from the firelight. He had heard about Luhuri since he was a boy, but now, as a grown man, his heart was filled with questions. Why did people in Luhuri live without shame? Was it true they had no rules, no jealousy, no marriage? He decided to find out. He traveled for many days, crossing rivers and rocky hills. Finally, one evening, just as the sun dipped behind the mountains, he saw it, a village built into the valley floor, where smoke rose gently from huts made of red earth and soft palm leaves. He stepped through tall grasses and followed the sound of drums and soft singing. To his surprise, he was greeted warmly at the edge of the village. "You must be lost," said a tall woman with skin the color of ripe dates and eyes that held the calm of still water. She wore no clothes, only beads and flowers in her braided hair. "I am Komi," he said, trying not to stare. "I came here to learn. I am a storyteller. I wish to understand your way of life." The woman smiled. "Then you are not lost. You are found. Come." She led him through the village. Komi noticed that no one wore clothes. Men, women, even children, walked freely, laughing, walking, playing. But what shocked him more was not the nudity. It was the peace. There was no shouting, no rushing, no fear in anyone's eyes. Everyone moved with ease, as if they carried no burdens. He expected to feel awkward, but somehow, he didn't. It was as if the air itself whispered, "There is no shame here." Later that night, he was taken to meet the village leader, Queen Nena. She sat on a carved wooden throne under the open sky, surrounded by dancers and firelight. She was old, with silver braids that reached her waist and eyes that had seen more than most books could hold. "So, the storyteller has come," she said, her voice soft but strong. "Yes, Queen Nena. I wish to know your people, and why you live this way." She nodded slowly. "You want to understand our freedom. But first, you must unlearn your shame." Komi blinked. "How do I do that?" Queen Nena smiled gently. "By staying. By watching. By listening, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Then, perhaps, the valley will speak to you." And so, Komi stayed. He made his bed under the moonlight. He joined in daily work, shared meals, and listened to stories by the fire. Every day, he saw something new. Every night, he asked more questions. But deep inside, one question stayed with him: how did a place like this come to be? The answer, he would soon learn, was far deeper than he ever imagined. Komi had spent a full moon cycle in Luhuri, and though he had grown used to the villagers' freedom, his heart still carried the weight of many questions. Each day, he observed how people lived without clothes, without marriage, without rules that other villages held sacred. Yet there was no chaos here. No arguments over lovers. No shame in the way people looked or acted. One morning, as the sun rose like a golden eye over the valley, Komi was called to the center of the village. There, Queen Nena sat beneath a wide baobab tree, her arms resting on the curved wooden arms of her throne. Around her, children danced, lovers lay side by side in the grass, and elders told jokes while grinding herbs. "You wish to understand us, Komi," Nena said as he bowed respectfully. "Then let me tell you the story of how Luhuri became free." Komi sat cross-legged before her, listening closely. Long ago, she began, our people lived like the rest of the world, clothed in cloth, and in fear. Men married women, but many were unfaithful. Women were treated like possessions. Jealousy burned our homes. Husbands beat wives. Wives poisoned rivals. Love was not love, it was control. Komi's eyes widened. What happened? A great war came, Nene said. Not from outside, but from inside our village. It was not fought with spears, but with envy, suspicion, and secrets. Families broke. Children wept. The land itself grew sick. Our river dried up. Komi felt the wind shift as if the valley itself remembered that time. When the old king died, she continued, our people begged for a new way. I was only a girl, but the elders gathered under this very tree and asked, what causes this pain? She leaned forward, her silver hair catching the sunlight. They found the answer, shame. Not just shame of our bodies, but shame of our desires, our choices, our truths. We had hidden too much for too long. Komi listened, heart beating slowly. So we created a new way, Nene said. We cast off our clothes, not to tempt, but to be honest. We ended marriage, not to destroy love, but to remove ownership. We chose to live in truth, without shame. Everyone was free to love, but only with honesty and care. Komi looked around. Children played without fear. Lovers shared glances without jealousy. Elders laughed without bitterness. But does no one ever get jealous? He asked softly. Nena chuckled. Of course we feel. We are human. But we speak. We share. We do not hide. And when we are hurt, we heal, with time, not punishment. Komi was silent. That night, he sat alone by the river. The moon lit the water like silver fire. From afar, he saw a woman kiss a man, then walk away and kiss another. No one was angry. No one shouted. He thought of his own village, where women were beaten for speaking too freely, and men were mocked for showing emotion. There, love was full of rules. Here, it was full of freedom. And yet, something still puzzled him. He turned to the stars and whispered, if this place is so free, why does it feel like something is missing? The wind didn't answer, but the river carried his question downstream. He didn't know it yet, but something, or someone, was about to disturb the peace of Lohori. It was during the season of ripe mangoes when the peace of Lohori began to tremble. A new visitor arrived, Maru, a traveler from the eastern sands. He was strong, tall, and handsome. His muscles told the story of battles fought, and his eyes carried storms from distant lands. Unlike Komi, who came seeking truth, Maru came with questions in his heart, but also pride in his step. The people of Lohari welcomed him, as they did all strangers. Queen Nena offered him a place to sleep and warm meals to eat. The villagers smiled and included him in games, dances, and harvest work. But Maru did not understand their way of life. He was polite, but quiet. He often looked away when people walked by without clothes. He frowned when he saw couples laughing in the open, switching partners without anger. Inside him, an old fire burned, one he had carried from a world that believed in possession and pride. Then he saw Jioha. She was one of the most admired women in Lohori. Her skin glowed like polished bronze, her laugh rang like a songbird at dawn, and her spirit moved like the river, gentle, but deep. Maru watched her dance one evening beneath the stars, her arms raised to the sky, her joy unhidden. From that moment, Maru wanted her. Not just to love her, but to have her. He followed her for days. Spoke sweet words. Gave her fruit and poems. And Jioho, being kind, received him warmly. They shared meals and laughter. They swam together in the river, talked beneath the moon, and one night, they lay together under a tree. But to Jehoah, this was natural, one heart meeting another for a time. To Maru, it was more. He believed she belonged to him now. Days later, Komi found Maru sitting alone, his fist clenched. "What troubles you, friend?" Komi asked. "She was with me," Maru said. "But today, she walked hand in hand with another man. I saw her kiss him." Komi sighed. "That is the way here. Love is shared. No one owns another." Maru's eyes narrowed. "That is not love. That is madness." That evening, flames of anger lit inside Maru's chest. He followed Jehoah and the man she was with. Jealousy clouded his mind. He shouted, pushed the man, and called Jehoah names in front of the villagers. A hush fell across the crowd. Such a thing had not happened in many seasons. Jehoah stood calmly, her eyes full of sadness, not fear. "You have mistaken desire for ownership," she said. "And your anger is not love, it is control." Maru's fist shook, but he said no more. Queen Nena appeared then, her voice rising like distant thunder. "This is not our way," she said. "We speak. We do not strike. We share. We do not steal. If fire has returned to our village, then we must hold council." That night, a great fire was lit in the center of Luhuri. Elders, youths, and all villagers gathered. Komi sat quietly beside the others. The peaceful rhythm of the village had been broken. Jealousy had returned, carried on Maru's back like an invisible beast. The elders knew this was no small matter. One broken feeling, left unchecked, could burn down even the freest village. Queen Nena stood, her face serious. "Tomorrow, we will hold the trial of desire," she said. "And we shall ask, what truly makes a heart free?" At dawn, the villagers of Luhari gathered under the great tree for the trial of desire. The sky was still painted with shades of orange and gold as the elders sat in a circle. The fire pit crackled softly in the middle. Everyone was quiet. Even the birds, it seemed, waited to hear what would happen. Maru stood before them, his arms crossed, ice cold. Jehoah stood too, barefoot and proud, not with anger, but with peace in her heart. Queen Nena, dressed in nothing but beads of wisdom across her chest, raised her hand. "This is not a trial of punishment," she said. "This is a trial of truth. Here, we do not shame, we reveal. Let hearts speak, and let all of us listen." The first to speak was Elder Yolo, whose beard reached his chest and whose voice carried the weight of many years. "Long ago," Yolo said, "we were ruled by desire too, but we misunderstood it. We thought love meant control. But what is desire, really? Is it hunger, or is it connection?" He looked to Maru. "What did you want from Jehoah?" Maru's lips were tight. "I wanted her. She chose me one night. I thought it meant she was mine." Jehoah stepped forward. "I shared my night, not my soul. We are free people, Maru. I did not lie. I did not hide. You kissed another man the next day." Maru shouted. "Is that not betrayal?" A quiet murmur moved through the crowd. But Queen Nena lifted her hand again. "Let Komi speak." All eyes turned to Komi, who rose slowly. His voice was soft, but sure. "I, too, come from a place where love is filled with rules," he said. "There, people lock their hearts in boxes. Women are beaten for speaking. Men are told not to cry. Marriage becomes a cage, not a home." He looked at Maru. "When I came here, I was confused. But I watched. I learned. In Luhari, people are not owned. Love is not kept, it is given. Freely, honestly. Sometimes for one night, sometimes for years. But always without force." Maru looked down, silent. Then Elder Nanda, a woman with a voice like thunder, stood. Desire is not wrong, she said. But when desire turns to control, it becomes a poison. And poison spreads. She turned to the crowd. The question is not if Maru felt jealous. The question is, what do we do when that fire rises? Jioha walked to Maru. You could have spoken to me, she said. Instead, you tried to shame me. Maru's face softened. For the first time since his arrival, his eyes showed pain, not pride. I am sorry, he whispered. I have never known a place like this. I thought I was loving you, but I see now, I was trying to possess you. Queen Nene nodded. Then this trial has done its work. Truth has been spoken. Let this be a lesson to all, freedom must be guided by respect. Desire must walk with care. The crowd clapped their hands softly in agreement. The tension that had filled the air now drifted away like morning mist. Later that night, as the stars returned to the sky, Komi sat with Nena. Do you think Maru will change? He asked. The old queen smiled. Change is slow. But even fire, when guided, can warm rather than burn. Komi nodded. He looked around at the villagers, dancing, laughing, living freely. Luhari had survived its first storm. But something still stirred in the wind. A sign that more was coming. And far away, the river washed. The days after the trial of desire were come. Maru had stayed in Luhari, quieter now, humbled by his own outburst. He helped in the gardens, joined in the dances, and listened more than he spoke. Though some villagers watched him carefully, others began to welcome him again with cautious smiles. But peace has a way of testing itself. One morning, as the sky turned silver with early light, a scream rang out near the river. Come! Come quickly, a young boy shouted, running barefoot through the village. The river, it has changed. Villagers rushed toward the water, their feet kicking up morning dew. Komi ran with them, his heart pounding. What they saw stopped them cold. The river, normally clear and gentle like polished glass, now ran red. It was not blood, but it looked like it. Thick, dark red water flowed from the hills into the valley, staining the stones and grass at the banks. The fish had disappeared. Even the frogs were silent. An elder knelt down and touched the water with trembling fingers. He sniffed it, tasted a drop, then turned to the crowd. It is not poison, he said. But this is not natural. Queen Nena arrived moments later, her eyes heavy with ancient knowing. It has happened before, she said softly, looking at the river with sadness. The villagers gasped. When, Queen Nena? When our ancestors broke their vow, she replied. When desire turned into harm. When honesty was replaced with hiding. Whispers rippled through the people like wind through tall grass. Was this because of Maru? Because of the trial? But Nena shook her head. No. One man's mistake cannot poison a river. But perhaps, something deeper has stirred. Something we have not seen. The council of elders gathered that evening beneath the great tree. The fire between them burned low and quiet, as if listening. This is not just a warning, said Elder Yolo. It is a message from the land. We must perform the ritual of unity, said Nanda. The one we haven't done in generations. Komi leaned forward. What is the ritual of unity? Queen Nena looked at him. It is a test, she said. A sacred path meant to cleanse our spirit when the land turns against us. Someone must walk it, bare in body, bare in soul. They must face every hidden shame, every secret pain. Only then can the river forgive. The villagers were quiet. Many eyes turned to Nena, but she shook her head slowly. I am too old, she said. My spirit is willing, but my body cannot complete the path. Maru stood, surprising everyone. Let me do it, he said. It was my fault that disharmony returned. But Nena looked at him kindly. Your heart has just begun to heal. This path requires someone with no shame left in them. Someone whose soul is ready to be unwrapped, like the body. The firelight flickered. Then Komi rose. I will do it, he said. A hush fell. You are not one of us, an elder whispered. But maybe that's why I must do it, Komi replied. I came here with questions. I saw love, jealousy, healing. I came here clothed in the ways of my people. Now, I have nothing left but truth. Nene stared into Komi's eyes. After a long silence, she nodded. Then at first light, she said, you will walk the path of mirrors. And the river will watch. That night, Komi could not sleep. The wind carried the sound of the Red River. And in the dark, he wondered, what part of himself would he have to face? At sunrise, the village gathered in silence near the entrance of the sacred grove. The trees there were taller, older, and thicker than anywhere else in Lohori. Vines twisted like snakes around their trunks, and the air was cool and heavy, as if the forest itself was holding its breath. Komi stood alone. He wore no clothes, as was custom, but this time even his spirit felt naked. No songs were sung. No drums were played. Only Queen Nena's voice broke the silence. You will walk the path of mirrors, she said. 7 reflections will appear before you, each one a piece of your truth. Look into them. Do not run. Do not hide. Only then will the river know your heart. Komi bowed his head and stepped into the grove. As he walked, the forest closed behind him. The birds fell silent. The wind stopped. Time itself seemed to slow. Then, the first mirror appeared, not made of glass, but of water, floating in midair. Mirror 1, the boy who lied. In it, Komi saw himself as a young boy, standing before his mother. Tears streamed down her face. You said you didn't eat the last yam, she cried. But you did. You let your sister take the blame. Komi winced. He remembered the guilt. The shame. The punishment that had fallen on someone else. I was afraid, he whispered. Afraid of being beaten. So I chose silence. The mirror rippled, then vanished. He walked forward. Mirror 2, the girl he loved. The next mirror showed him older, 17, and kneeling before a girl named Tima. I love you, she said. But I want to wait. In the reflection, Komi turned cold. Then I don't want you, he had said. I'll find someone who won't play games. He remembered that moment. How he walked away in pride, only to feel empty for years. I confused desire with love, he said softly. And I hurt someone kind. The mirror melted into mist. He stepped forward again. Mirror 3, the fear of being seen. Now, Komi saw himself as he was now, but surrounded by mocking voices. Look at him. A man with no family. No home. Just stories and questions. The reflection laughed at him. You wonder because you're afraid to be known. You hide behind your tails. Komi's fist clenched. Then he sighed. Yes, he said. I hide. Because being seen feels like being judged. The laughter stopped. The mirror dissolved. One by one, Komi faced all 7 reflections. Each one pulled a truth from his bones, a memory, a regret, a moment where he turned away from honesty. His feet bled from roots and stones. His throat ached from crying. But he kept walking. Until at last, the forest opened. And there it stood, the final pull. The mirror of self, still and silent like death. He looked in and saw nothing. No boy. No man. No shame. No pride. Just the wind and the river. He fell to his knees. I am not perfect, he whispered. But I am real. The wind stirred. A warm breeze brushed his skin. The tree sighed. And far in the distance, a sound echoed across the valley. The river was flowing again. Back in the village, people ran to the river's edge. The red was gone. Clear water danced once more over the rocks. Queen Nena closed her eyes and smiled. The land has accepted him, she whispered. And us. That evening, Komi returned, tired, scratched, tear-stained, but free. The villagers welcomed him not as a stranger, but as one of their own. For the first time, Komi wasn't just a storyteller. He was the story. The village of Lohori had changed, but not in the way outsiders might expect. After the river flowed clear again, the people celebrated. They did not dance wildly or shout with joy. Instead, they gathered in silence by the water, placed flowers on the rocks, and whispered soft prayers to the ancestors. It was not just the river that had been cleansed. It was them. Komi stood at the water's edge, watching his reflection ripple gently across the surface. He had walked the path of mirrors and returned lighter, not in body, but in soul. For the first time, he felt no need to explain who he was, or why he had come. Lohori had accepted him. And more importantly, he had accepted himself. Queen Nena sat beneath the great tree, her eyes soft and tired. The ritual had cost her energy. She had led her people for many years, but she knew her time was near. She sent word for Komi and Joho. As the two stood before her, she reached for their hands. Lohori will need new guides, she said. Not rulers. Guides. This way of life, this freedom, it must be protected with wisdom. Both of you have learned what that means. Joho knelt beside her. But I am not an elder, she said. I am still learning. And that, Nena smiled, is what makes you ready. She turned to Komi. You are not of our blood. But your heart beats with our rhythm now. Will you stay, Komi? Komi didn't hesitate. Yes. I came here to collect a story. But now, I want to live one. Queen Nena closed her eyes and leaned back against the tree. A breeze passed through the leaves, and for a long while, no one spoke. The queen slept peacefully under the baobab tree that day. She never woke again. Her body was buried near the river, wrapped in woven reeds, her skin still glowing in the morning light. The villagers wept, not with sorrow, but with gratitude. They had been led by a woman who gave them freedom. She had taught them that love was not chains, but wings. In the weeks that followed, Joho and Komi guided the village together. They didn't build walls or write laws. Instead, they listened. They reminded people to speak openly, to love gently, and to walk with kindness. They added one small line to the village's way of life. Freedom with responsibility. Desire with respect. Even Maru, who had once brought fire into the village, stayed. He worked with his hands, listened more than he spoke, and found quiet joy in the simple life. He no longer sought to possess love, he learned to feel it, even when it wasn't his to keep. Komi began writing every evening under the stars. Not on paper, but on smooth stones, in simple marks only the villagers could read. These were not just stories, they were truths. And each stone was placed along the path of mirrors, so that those who walked it after him would know, you are not alone in your shame. You are not broken. You are becoming. Years later, visitors still came to Lohori, whispering about the village with no clothes and no shame. Some came to laugh. Some came to judge. But some, like Komi once did, came to listen. And for them, the village opened. Not because they were perfect, but because they were willing to be real. And so, the story of Lohori lived on, not just in the river, or the trees, or the firelight, but in every heart that dared to love without fear.